Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Ray. This is my first official video, and I'm going to be going over my 2024 reading and the 2025 reading goals I have for next year. So I started seriously reading again in 2024, probably around September was when I started doing, being a lot more diligent, reading before bed pretty much every night, save for a couple of days, especially around the holidays. But yeah, I thought we could start by going over my 2024 reading wrapped, as Fable put it. During 2024, I made the transition from Goodreads to Fable. I've been using Goodreads ever since I basically learned of its existence. So I think it's been about 10 years I've been using Goodreads, but it has not been updated in 10 years, as I'm sure people who use Goodreads can attest to. Functionality has not changed. There's no way to do half-star ratings, and the social aspect of the app has not been updated at all over the course of the years, which was very disappointing as someone who is very, very active in bookish spaces from a young age, and I couldn't really interact with other people very well on Goodreads. So I tried using Storygraph, and it was really cool for the statistics sections of it, but it's not very intuitive. I know that might be a hot take. I think some people think it's very intuitive. I did not find it very intuitive, and that's someone who is like a pretty techie person. And I just, I figured it out. I knew how to use it, but it wasn't calming or relaxing, I guess, to put things in. So I then tried Fable. And I still have my Goodreads account, but I have deleted it off my phone, and I have not updated it since October. And I basically fully made over the switch to Fable. It's like Goodreads, but they actually update it and listen to the users, is how I would put it. I've been really enjoying it. I had an issue because I have very low vision, so all the text on my phone is if you go to the accessibility settings and then put it all the way up, not just so 120%. I think I have it at 165 or something, because if it's any smaller than 140, I have a very hard time reading it. So when I had issues because of that and I reached out to them, they were very quick to figure out what the issue was, and they assured me that they would be looking into fixing it on their end, because basically I had to turn off a setting on my phone that allowed for buttons were slightly larger because my font was larger, and I had to make the buttons the regular size, and they told me that they would be looking into that. So I really appreciated that as someone who does struggle with low vision. And so, I've just had very positive experiences on this app and dealing with their customer service. So I highly recommend it. I really enjoy it, especially if you're someone who doesn't really care much about statistics. You just want to keep track of how many books you read. I think Fable is the better choice. If you like seeing every little category breakdown, then Storygraph might be more for you, but I don't care so much about that aspect. So yeah, and Fable lets you import from your Goodreads, so I didn't have to do that and any of that by hand. That was all done automatically through Fable. So let's go through my reading wrapped. I just wrote it down here because I film on my phone, so and Fable does not have a desktop version as far as I know. It is only available on iOS or Google Play or whatever the other app stores are. It's only an app, basically. So this year I surpassed my reading goal, which I'm really happy with. So in 2023, my reading goal was 12 books, and I did not do it. 2024, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling ambitious. I'm going to do 24 books. And I've read 29 books this year, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to finish one more before the year's over. I still have 3 days. We'll see. I'm just over halfway through Christmas Carol. I was hoping to finish it before Christmas, and then, just holiday craziness happened. So I want to finish it before the end of the year. That's my plan. You can keep track of your reading streak, of how many days you've read in a row. So my streak this year was 42 days, which is pretty good for me, considering I only started using Fable in September, October-ish. And again, I did not it didn't import over the days you've read. So if you've been reading for like 2 years straight, it's not going to show up. You can go in and you can manually edit things if you forget to log or something. But I wasn't going to go through and be like, oh yeah, I read these days. I wasn't reading every day, so I didn't know. But yeah, so I was pretty proud of that, of the fact that it was 42 days straight. Next, my average rating was 4.6 stars, because I'm someone who, you either get 1 star or 5 stars. I've been trying to kind of curb that a bit. But, you know, I either love a book or I hate it. That's really what it comes down to. I'm trying to be a bit more nuanced with, like, assessing why I like a book. However, the most 2 recent books I read, I was just like, I love this book. I don't know why. It's getting 5 stars. So they both got 5 stars. They also give, like, little statistics for some things. So I was in the top 10% of children's fiction readers for the year. So that was cool. They also give you, you can see your breakdown. I'll put a picture here. A breakdown of like the number of books and what books you read each month. So you can kind of see where I started the year off super strong and fell off in the summer, and then ended the year off pretty strong again too. November was a bit of a crazy month because I finished a lot of books that I had started in September and October. But realistically, I'm like, I probably only read like 3 or 4 full books in that month, which is still really good for me, for someone who's coming back to reading after kind of taking a bit of a break. But yeah. I also have here, so Fable also does, they give you like a reader summary. I think it's an AI type thing, which I'm not a huge fan of, but like it's still cool to see. And I don't think you can turn it off. But anytime you finish reading a book, you can refresh and it'll give you like a new reader summary. So for the year of 2024, my reader summary was, whimsical seeker, your taste in stories is like a fairy tale buffet, overindulgent and dizzying. Yet you treasure magic in every mystical morsel. So that's pretty cool. And I feel like that really kind of sums up my 2024. I love fairy tale retellings. Some of my favorite books are fairy tale retellings, or like kind of like that, like in the fairy tale adjacent type thing. That's just something I'm really into. I really like that kind of fantasy. Oh, and one more statistic thing they have is the breakdown of the amount of books you've read the year and what genres they are. So I'll put it here. I think these are just your top genres, I want to say, and not everything you've read. But you can see here I've read 15 fantasy, 14 young adult, 9 thriller, 8 mystery, and 7 children's fiction. So that's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, so that was kind of my 2024 reading. Actually, I should do my favorite books. My favorite books, I think, of the year were A Spindle Splintered and Mirror Mirror, both by Alex E. Harrow. It's a duology. It was phenomenal. I've just read them quite recently, which is why they're jumping out at me. Phenomenal. I loved them. They're short, they're sweet, they're funny. They are not, you can't go into it thinking it's going to be something serious though. Like, it is supposed to be a short, lighthearted, funny book. I loved them. They were hilarious. There was references to like modern day memes and stuff mixed in with like a fairy tale magic. Super fun. I highly recommend. They both got 5 stars. I was gonna say they were my only 2 5-star reads of the year. New books. I had some rereads that I've previously rated 5 stars. I don't change my ratings after I've given them. My first impression is my first impression. I don't know, that's just something I do. I think some people change their ratings if they revisit them. I don't, because if it was a 5-star for me at the time, it means it was. The only exception is if I DNF a book. If I If I revisit a DNF book and I finish it, then I'll give it a star rating. But I actually have 9 new 5-star reads. So I do give out 5 stars like candy. So obviously the 2 I mentioned before, A Spindle Splintered and Mirror Mirror. A Mirror Mended? It might be A Mirror Mended, actually. I don't remember. I just finished it last night. That's bad. Anyways, the other ones, I can't believe I forgot this one. A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. I loved this book. It was so good. I immediately ran out and bought the second book, and that is going to be my New Year's read. That's the book I'm going to start on New Year's Eve, just because I haven't gotten a chance to get around to reading it yet because I've had library books. But I was like, I need to own this series. I read her other book, Song of the Six Realms. That one was a 4.5 star, I think, for me. I didn't love it quite as much as Magic Steeped in Poison. I borrowed that from the library, and I do plan on eventually buying myself a copy because I can see myself rereading it. Again, I'm trying to be a lot more conscious of the books I'm buying. I'm going to the library almost every other week now to get new books, and I'm getting books from there rather than buying a bunch, because I do have a lot of like unread books, which is quite embarrassing as someone who is trying to be a lot more aware of like my spending habits and just the stuff I accumulate. I'm trying to be like more under consumption-y, and the amount of books I have is kind of embarrassing. Last time I counted, I think I had about 200. Not all of them I haven't read yet, to be fair. I've probably read about a quarter to half of them, because some of them, they're on my haven't read shelf, because I want to reread them. So like The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, The Hunger Games, because I'm not letting myself get the new Hunger Games books till I reread the original trilogy. Anyways, that was an aside. I have a lot of books I have to read this year, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, I loved A Magic Steeped in Poison. It was a 5-star absolutely for me. Another one was The Book of Bill by Alex Hirsch. Delightfully funny, lots of codes to solve. I am still working my way through the book because I'm determined to solve the codes on my own. I really, really enjoyed it. I've read the whole thing. I just haven't solved all the codes, but I really enjoyed it. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I loved this book. It was really, really good. I have had, so funny story about this. Okay. I bought the third book and didn't know it was the third book in a series. So I bought it, I brought it home, and like a month later I went to read it and I was like, oh shit. And so we had to go back out and get the first and second book, and this was before I was going to the library more often. So I did actually buy them, but I don't regret it. I really liked it. Journey also read the books. Journey is on the third book. I haven't started the third one yet, and they're really enjoying it as well. So we read the books in preparation for the TV show. The next book was Bad Blood by Tobin Elliott. So I don't think this is technically the first book in the series, but there's a series of horror books by Tobin Elliott, and this is included in the universe. I think this is meant to be more of a prequel, but I read it first. I really enjoyed it. It was only like 85 pages, I think, so it was more of a novella. I read it in one night. It was horrifying, but like, it's horror. Like, you want it to be horrifying. And it was like, you know, there was like, when I got the book, I saw there was like content warnings for it and stuff. I don't remember if they were in the book or if there was a little sign beside the book. But either way, I really liked it. If you're into horror and you're okay with like body horror and like, you know, like when I reviewed the book, I had to put a lot of like content warnings in my review. So if you can handle that kind of stuff, I highly recommend it. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Next was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. I'm part of my work's book club, so we read a lot of like mystery and thriller books. This was one of them. It was really good. I was a little bit worried when I started it. I was like, this is gonna be like I remember starting reading it and turning to Journey and saying, oh, this feels like it's gonna be like those podcast girlies who like start a podcast to solve a crime, and it's like not actually, like they don't actually care. But it doesn't end up being that. It is a little bit, but not super. It was really good. If you like mystery, give it a look. Give it a look. Another book that was also from my works book club was The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I've read Peter Swanson books in the past. I haven't been the biggest fan of him in the past. Like, I've enjoyed his books, but never a 5-star for him. This was my first Peter Swanson 5-star. I really liked it. It was really good. If you are a fan of Peter Swanson, you haven't picked up this one because it is a relatively new one from what I remember. Go get it. It was really, really good. It was like so many twists and turns. It was amazing. We all really liked it. The consensus in my book club was that it was amazing. And the final 5-star read I had for 2024 was The Cottage Fairy Companion by Paola Merrill. So she's a YouTuber. She is the Cottage Fairy on YouTube. I don't think she's posting a ton right now because she had a baby kind of recently. But that was the book she published. It's like about like living according to the seasons, and like it has like a lot of her art in it because she is an artist. I loved it. It was great. At the beginning of every season, I've been picking it up and just kind of like going through that season and going, okay, here's the kind of like, because there's recipes, there's crafts, there's that kind of stuff. So there's a big variety. I like looking at the recipes and choosing one recipe for us to try. I mean, that won't last very long because there's only a couple, like there's like 2 or 3 recipes, I think, for each season. Maybe a bit more than that, actually. No more than 5. There was only a couple. But I've been really liking picking it up at the beginning of each season and, you know, getting to try out a new recipe or revisiting a recipe and going, oh, I remember we had that last year. That was really yummy. Or just trying out a new craft that I haven't tried before. I've been loving it. It's great. Okay, so now I want to talk about my 2025 plans, goals, and show you my journal. I'm going to put images here. Like, I'm just going to take pictures of each page and put them here, because I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. But yeah, so these are my, like, 2025 reading notes, goals, and plans. Isn't my cover page so cute, by the way? The things keep falling off because I'm just using double-sided tape. So, you know, but I don't really, this is a journal that doesn't leave the house. This is one that stays home, because I have a couple journals. I should go through my planners for the next year. I'll do that later, but that'll be another video for the new year, I think. So the first page I have is not complete because I think I want to do it as the year progresses, to kind of keep me interested, because sometimes I start the journal and I forget about it, so then I have to go back and fill it in for like 2 months. So it's like my bookshelf. I've seen people call it their bookshelfy. I just do my bookshelf. This is where I fill in every book I've read for the year. So I've just done the first shelf, and that should last me, I don't know how many months, 3, unless I go really crazy and read a lot, because if I'm reading, well, we'll get to my goal in a second. But yeah, I drew little flower pots that, you know, there'll be cute little accents on each shelf. That's the plan. Next page is my goal and my monthly totals. So my goal for this year is to read 50 books. I'm doubling it from last year, or from this year, because it's still 2024 as I'm filming. But I did read basically 30 books, and that was just kind of in the last half of the year. So I think 50 should be manageable. So yeah, I have my yearly goal, and then I have my monthly totals. So I'm going to put the number of books I've read, the pages I've read, the number of diverse books I've read, and the number of nonfiction. So I want to talk about the last 2 columns. Diverse books, I want to read more books. I'm not including LGBTQ authors in diverse books, only because I already read a lot of LGBTQ authors. I do look for them when I'm looking for new books, so they're not going to be included there because I know that's something I'm also already good at. I do want to read more POC authors and disabled authors. Those are my 2 kind of goals for diverse authors this year. I started branching out at the end of last year, and looking specifically for POC authors. Here's to hoping that goes well and I find some new POC and disabled authors I really like. I also want to read more nonfiction. I started reading nonfiction around November, I want to say, like actually reading nonfiction. I had a couple nonfiction books that I'd pick up every now and then, but I wasn't actually reading them consistently. You know, like I've had Daniel Howell's book on my shelf since it came out, and I still haven't finished reading it. So I want to read more nonfiction, and not necessarily self-help either. I know I mentioned Daniel Howell's book, but that's just one I own. I actually have a book on hold at the library right now, called Laziness Does Not Exist. Can't remember the author, but we'll get to why that's on my bookshelf or on my library hold in a minute. Anyways, I just want to read more nonfiction. I feel like it's gonna be good for me, especially when I take the train to work. I feel like it'll be good to kind of read that in the morning and have it, like, you know, like be learning something new first thing. So the next page is my upcoming releases page. Oh, this I'm excited about. So I've been watching some other booktubers, not ones I particularly watch generally. Actually, I don't really consistently watch any booktubers, like any specific booktubers anymore. I watch them, but like it's just random ones. You know, as I was watching other people make their reading journals for some inspiration, And so I actually grabbed a lot of these from their videos. So Not Quite Dead Yet, coming out in July. That's a new Holly Jackson book. I don't think it's related to Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because there's 3 books plus a novella in that series. I don't think it's related. I think it's a completely different thing. Either way, I really like Holly Jackson's writing. Looking forward to it. February 11th, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales is coming out. I still haven't read Encyclopedia of Fairies or the second book. That's the 3rd book. But I think I'm going to put aside money to buy all 3 once that 3rd book comes out. Like, I'll wait until like March or April, I think, in the hopes that there'll be a paperback like set that comes out, and I'll put aside some money for then, because I know I'm gonna fall in love with it. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. I'll show you my bookshelf at the end of the video. I wanted to film in front of it, but I didn't have light, so my lamp is like attached to my desk. So, but I know I'm gonna love it. I plan on getting all 3 at some point. March 18th, Sunrise on the Reaping is coming out. So I'm hoping to finish the Hunger Games trilogy and Songbirds and Snakes. Hoping to finish those before March. We'll see. That might be a bit ambitious, honestly. But yeah, because I really like the Hunger Games. And then in November, Brigades and Bread Knives, which is the sequel to Legends and Lattes. Sequel or 3rd book? It's in the series. I also haven't read Legends and Lattes, but I put that on there because I do want to read Legends and Lattes. I think that one's going to be a library one for me because I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it. Some people love it, some people hate it. It seems to be one or the other. There seems to be no one in the middle who's just like, yeah, it was an okay book. Like, it was good. I enjoyed it. Not going to read it again, but we'll see. 2 more books. I think they're coming out in 2025, but there's no date yet. They might even be pushed to 2026. We'll see. Is the technically 8th book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. It is like the 3rd book in like the high school years or college years, like whatever you want to call it, like the part 2 of the Olympians is supposed to be coming out sometime this year. I still haven't read part 1 and 2, or books 1 and 2, because I'm trying to make my way through all of the Percy Jackson books in chronological order right now. So I'm up to Mark of Athena. I'm about halfway through it. I've been about halfway through it since January. I kind of forgot I was doing that. The sequel to The Sun and the Star, also by Rick Riordan, but also Mark Oshiro, is supposed to come out this year as well, I think. I believe it's coming out this year. Fingers crossed. Might be 2026. Again, I haven't read The Sun and the Star yet. But it's Rick Riordan. I always love Rick Riordan. I think every single book has been given a 5-star by me. Although, funny story, I initially gave the first Trials of Apollo Star book 1 star. I didn't get it. Moving on to the next page, I just kind of have my daily reading tracker, where I could just highlight every day that I read. That's all that's going to be used for. I think it's just going to be a highlight. I'm not going to track daily page numbers. Okay, the next page. Okay, so this spans over 3 pages. So these are my series trackers pages. It's a very, very simple spread. There's nothing crazy about it. It is just the series I'm currently reading or I want to read. I went through my entire like TBR list to go through this. There's not really much to say about this. A lot of them are books I haven't read yet because they're books on my TBR, and I have been reading a lot less of the series lately, just because I've been focusing more on standalones or duologies. Duologies are not included on here. So there are some duologies where I've read the first book but haven't read the second book yet. They're not included on the series tracker because in my mind a series is 3 books. Anyways. And then the next 2 pages are something I'm really excited for. So on Fable, you can join book clubs, which I love. So I have 7 book clubs on Fable that I am a part of. I don't read a book from every book club every month. I kind of wait and see what the book is going to be, and I decide if I'm interested or not. So For example, if we look at the Cozy Quill Book Club, I'm not going to be reading the January book, The Maid and the Crocodile. It just wasn't something that interested me. Or the Lifelong Learners Club. I'm not going to be reading The Art of Quiet Influence. Again, it's just something that doesn't interest me. I want to keep track of every book that they're reading throughout the months. Some of these clubs are monthly clubs, some are bi-monthly, and some are quarterly clubs. So I'm just keeping track, and then at the end of the year I can kind of audit them and decide, okay, well, I haven't read a book. I only read one book from this club all year. Maybe it's time for me to leave the club. And then I can kind of, like, you know, just keep track and see which clubs are worth being part of, and then maybe swapping in some new clubs. The 8th club is my workbook club, hence why it's blacked out, because it is like the name of my office, which I'm not going to be sharing online. Okay, and then the last page I have to show you, I think it's the last page. Yep, okay, so this is my January reading goals. So basically what this is it's just a way to keep track of my reading for the month. I've been doing this for a while, and I found this is something that really works for me. It's a really easy way for me to see what books I need to be prioritizing, especially considering I'm in a lot of book clubs now. And I know, like, the Fable ones don't really matter. If I don't finish the book, it's whatever. Like, A Little Woman was supposed to be finished by the end of December. I'm nowhere near done that. Like, that is gonna, like, I don't think I'm gonna finish it in January either. But I'm not gonna stress. If I don't, it'll just roll over into February. So I have my carryover books. A Christmas Carol is not there because I am determined to finish it in the next 3 days. I don't want to be reading A Christmas Carol in January. I'm okay to read it up to December 31st, but that's it. And I have my book club books. So we can see that Laziness Does Not Exist there is there, and A Mirror Mended I have crossed off because I did finish that early, so it doesn't need to be there. And then personal books, those are books that I'm reading for myself. I do also have a book club on Fable if you want to join. We are going to be reading A Venom Dark and Sweet in January. Nobody's part of it, it's just me right now. But I'm more using it as a way to, the only books I'm allowed to read from there are books I own currently, because it is me trying to get through my TBR, and my owned TBR, not my, you know, oh, this looks like an interesting book, I'm going to add it to my TBR. No, it's books I own and I need to read. So it's going to be a lot of classics probably, because I do own a lot of classics, because Indigo always has this deal where it's like you can buy 3 classics books for $10. Great deal, love it. I have too many classics that I haven't read now though. But yeah, if you want to be part of it, you can look me up on Fable. My username is also RayArden on Fable, so if you want to join, feel free to. Yeah, and then I have, you can see for all 3 of the books, well, no, not for Laziness Does Not Exist. I kind of have markers, and then what I do is, so like on the first, I'll highlight the number 1 on the left-hand column, and then I'll highlight what books I've read that day. And, you know, you just kind of go down, and if, like, by the 10th I haven't read up to chapter 14 in Little Woman, I don't get to highlight all of that. It makes more sense when it's in progress. I'll put up a picture of what my December spread looks like now. I haven't updated it in a while, but this is what my December looks like. That kind of makes more sense. So you can see when the blue highlightings for the days go past certain books markers, and it's like, oh, okay, I need to prioritize that book. But yeah, that is my reading journal. Another goal I have for this year that I haven't really mentioned, just because it doesn't really have a spot in my journal really, is I want to get through all my physical, not all of them, that's unrealistic, but I want to make a good dent into my physical books I own that I haven't read or want to reread. Because it feels very wasteful for me to have all these books and never have read them and have no plans to read them. Hence why I started this book club that is literally called TBR Busting. I need to get through these books. I'm not allowed to buy new books. Hence why I've been going to the library, is because I still want to read new books. But I've been on a book buying ban since July of last year. The one exception was I do let myself get a new book for my birthday because, you know, you get the 20% off code from Indigo. So I think I bought 2 or 3 new books on my birthday because I also had some credit, like I had a gift card. So I think I only spent $10 though. Beyond that, I have not bought any new books. I'm not planning on going and treating myself to a new book for Christmas or anything. I can just wrap up a book I already, oh my, you know what? I'm just gonna make Journey do that. I'm gonna make Journey wrap up some books for me to open, just for fun. But yeah, I just want to get through these books. I'm not gonna be buying new books. I can go to the library if I really want a new book. The exception being the Emily Wilde books I might buy. We'll see. I might hold that off for a while. Thank you for joining me with kind of this reading journal, reading plans and goals and 2024 wrap up, like a whole mishmash of book stuff. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you enjoyed reading it. I hope I gave you some book recommendations with my 5-star reads of 2024. Yeah, I hope to do some more book videos this year. Maybe I'll do them every quarter and kind of like wrap up the books I've done. Yeah, if you are interested in more book videos from me, let me know. I've been a voracious reader since I was about 9 years old. So I have, like, at this point, almost 2 decades of, well, maybe not quite that much, but I have a lot of years of books in my brain, and I really love reading. I really love sharing my love of reading, and I hope you will join me next week for my video. That will probably be a knitting video, because I need to share my plans for 2025 for my knitting. And let me know if you would like to see a video on my planner system and what I'm planning on using for 2025.